Hi and welcome back to Across the Ocean. This is Matthias right from Zurich.
And I'm James in Miami.
And here comes the intro. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in again to Across the Ocean, the show here on YouTube for underwater camera enthusiasts. We're already up to episode 22. James, it's great to welcome you and see you again for this episode. How are you doing, man? What's happening?
Doing fantastic. Absolutely loving, just the best diving of the year here in Miami in September, in my opinion. High season has kind of calmed down. The boats aren't as full, but the diving is absolutely fantastic and, just staying out of trouble. How about yourself?
Excellent. Well, it's not quite the same here. Normally the summertime is not the best time of the year to dive because water temperatures are rising and the algae just takes over in our lakes, so visibility drops down. Summer is technically, or generally speaking, not the best time of the year to dive, but as we're coming now into the colder period of the year again, temperatures will drop and it's gonna get clearer again. So I'm looking forward to being more in the water diving wise again in the next couple of months, more than what I've been in the summer. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the qualities that a dive guide needs to bring on the table to be a really good dive guide when it comes to guiding someone who has a camera with them and wants to either take photos or videos while being underwater. And this is something that goes along the lines with the last 2 or 3 episodes that we made here in this series when we talked about what is a camera-friendly resort, dive boat, all that sort of stuff. So dive guides, they can really make or break your camera dives, and they do inflict, or they do have a big impact on the experience that you have when filming or diving with a camera, I better say. You've done a lot of diving with a camera as well, James. What, in your experience, makes a good dive guide for someone diving with a camera?
Yeah, so I think, it's kind of become our tradition, Matthias, to kind of offer 3 tips each. So the first 3 things that I could think about when I pick for ideal qualities in a dive guide start with, as always, communication, right? You as the camera operator have to set the objectives for the dive and tell your guide, hey, this is what I want to film. This is what I want to shoot. So if you're into maritime architecture and you love to take photographs of wrecks, it might be a case that you need to tell specifically where on the wreck you want to shoot, what your idea for the shot is, and if you need them to hold lights, what power setting those lights need to be at, where in the wreck they need to position themselves as the diver, and where to point the light and illuminate the scene as you would a theater scene, for example. So that can be really, really complicated and complex for the dive professional. Or it could be as simple as, hey, I want to go and see this particular animal. So that could be, for example, I want to see specifically a mandarin fish. Okay, great. Well, then that dive guide needs to also be a fantastic safari spotter. That's kind of my second point. If you go on a safari in Africa and you say you want to see leopards and they take you out into a field of tall grass and start looking for leopards, you probably don't have a very good safari guide because the leopards are in the tree. Same thing with the marine species. If you say you want to look at a mandarin fish, which is a shallow water fish that likes a sandy shale bottom and some kind of coverage, they take you to a 130-foot rocky wall, you're probably not going to see what you're looking for. So they need to have specific knowledge of the marine biology of their ecosystems and also a good geographical sense of the dive site to help you find what you want to look at. And then lastly, and this, I shouldn't have to say this, Matthias, but I feel like I do, unfortunately, they're a professional, they're a dive professional that you're paying as a guide. They should have top class A1 dive skills. And unfortunately, that's not guaranteed, but they should be really, really good divers for a number of reasons. Number one, you don't want them swimming into the shot. obviously, but also you don't want them bumping into you with the camera rig because their buoyancy or their trim is terrible, and you don't want them kicking silt up off the bottom and putting sand and dirt into your shot because their finning technique sucks. So, you know, on our channel Divers Ready, we talk about the fundamentals all the time. Unfortunately, there are still dive masters and instructors who manage to scrape by on mediocre dive skills, and that definitely is suboptimal when you're trying to operate a big camera rig and capture the shot. What are the qualities that you look for in a professional dive guide when you've got your camera underwater, Matthias?
Yes, well, first of all, I always like to keep the group size as small as possible, and this is not always up to me. This is not always possible, but if I can make this happen, I will always try to keep it as small as possible. Ideally, even a private guide, and this sometimes comes down to, do you have the pocket money to pay for it, but sometimes you're also lucky that there's no other guests at the resort or wanting to do that specific dive, and you get given a private guide for that dive, which is great. So use it wisely if you do have that chance to have a private guide, because I think that's the ideal situation that you can have. Otherwise, if you have 2 people per dive guide, that's still sort of okay for me. Any more than that, and it can get really messy and not very much enjoyable in my opinion. Another thing that I really value in a dive guide is being patient. Being patient with the guest, with the person having the camera and trying to take the shot or the video clip. And I, for example, I'm the perfect example in this case, because I always take quite a long time to take a shot, because once the dive guide shows me, for example, that mandarin fish, if we stick with that example from before, he's gonna lead me to the place where the mandarin fish is, and then I want to take that one shot of those 2 mandarin fish coming out of the coral head and mating. And that will probably take the entire dive for me to get that perfect shot. So the guide must pretty much be okay with just hanging around and waiting for me to get the shot. Oftentimes also, I do need a little preparation time before I start taking my shot. So if he shows me, I don't know, a nudie branch somewhere, I want to see if there is any current right there. I want to see how I can position myself to get the best possible composition. So I don't want the guy to show me the nudie branch here, and within like a minute or so, banging on his tank again and trying to show me something else. Because then I go like, whoa, slow down your horses, let me take this shot first, and then we'll move on to the next one. And for me personally, it's not about taking as many shots as I can throughout a dive, but to take the shots, or to make the shots that I'm taking really good ones. So I'd rather take a little extra time, hence he needs to be patient and he needs to be going slow, he or she. And lastly, I think that a dive guide should also have a general understanding of photography and videography, specifically when we talk about doing these things underwater. So he needs to understand that if I'm diving with a larger camera, I do need more space to be able to take a specific shot. Also, if I'm diving with a GoPro, yes, he can definitely show me the little pygmy seahorse in the sea fan, but it's very unlikely that I'll be able to get a good shot. So I've seen dive guides pointing at seahorses, pygmy seahorses, and divers looking at them and going, okay, let's go. And they go, no, take a photo, take a photo. But you can't take a photo of a pygmy seahorse with a GoPro unless you have some extra accessories with it. So that's also a thing that I think is quite important. Understanding how people take photos and videos underwater will help make that person a better dive guide. And that's my 3 points that I like to look at in a dive guide when I'm choosing a dive guide that's gonna show me the amazing stuff that our underwater world has to offer for us. Any additions on your side?
No, I think you much covered it. You know, I think the key thing there is you're hiring a professional to do a job, right? These are the features and characteristics you're looking for in that professional. So sure. You've really got to kind of get a sense of the person before you commit to hiring them to make sure that the money you're spending on a guide is going to be valuable to you. It's going to add to the shoot, and you know, they're going to be able to perform what you want to do. And that goes for everything that you said about patience and sort of, you know, being calm and being under control and having that understanding to, you know, the dive skills that I was talking about. So I think those are really, really important points. One thing I would like to add, Matthias, is it's October. Do you know what we're going to be doing a year from now?
We'll be diving the Philippines.
It's shameless plug time, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen it already, we are heading to the Philippines in October 2023. We have a couple of spaces left at the time of recording.
Not very many.
Yeah, so if you want to jump on that trip, the brochure is linked in the description of this video below. Go check it out. It's an all-inclusive resort with basically unlimited diving. Pack your dive gear and some beer money, and we're going to have a fantastic time. Come and dive with Matthias and myself, and just enjoy the Coral Triangle, some of the best diving on the planet. So we hope to see you all out there. Shameless plug. Fantastic. Achieved.
I couldn't have said it any better. Be quick or be sorry, those last spaces are gonna go very quickly, I'm sure of it. So that's the end of our show for today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us again for this one, number 22 it already is. I can't believe how quickly time passes. Thank you, mate, for joining me on this episode today again. As always, it's a pleasure seeing and talking to you. And until next time, we wish you all an enjoyable time underwater. Enjoy capturing your amazing underwater adventures, and we will see you in the next episode.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
I'm recording.
I'm recording too. What a coincidence.